Good morning, boys and girls, moms and dads, everybody in viewer land. And we have a special shout out to A62CHV. They're tuning into the channel now. Of course, Chop A, I didn't know he was tuning into it. And the Lizard King, whoever the Lizard King is. No relation to my friend Lizard Lips, but the Lizard King's watching too. So today for Generator Monday, we're not just going to show you the machine running. We're going to show you how to do a couple of things to it and what to look for. The time to take care of your Generac is before you have a situation. If you know there's going to be power failures, big storms coming, that kind of thing, or just check it once a month. That's a good idea too. So what you want to do is there's a lock on both sides. You're going to unlock them. And now anytime we access this machine, if we're just going to check the oil, maybe not. But if you're going to clean it and access it, you'll notice the light is green right now. So I'm going to push right here the off button, the red off button. You push that. Now it says switch to off on the top, and you'll see a red light now. Can everybody see the red light? So that means it's safe. You don't want to have your hands in here and cleaning and doing things if there's a power failure. The thing's going to automatically come on. So for safety, always turn it off. Always turn it off. Switch to off and you should see a red light. So we're going to lift this cover off, and you can see there's a little bit of debris in there, but it's not too bad. I just cleaned it. But I had the leaf blower out here yesterday and I kind of blew some schmutz in there. So you can see we have our dipstick here for the oil. So let's go ahead and check our oil and make sure that's good. So wipe it off, put the dipstick back in, wait a second, take it out, and you can see I'm right where I need to be. So my oil is good. If I had to add oil, you could bring a little funnel. You take this cap off right here, and then Generac has the oil, 5W30, full synthetic. So you put 5W30 full synthetic in there. That's the oil I have. I bring it out when I come to check it, so I have it. The oil filters, I keep oil filters on hand too, just so the dealer maintains it for me. But if I ran it for 50 hours or it had 50 hours on it, I'm going to want to change the oil. So I can't wait for the dealer 2 days into an emergency. So I got a couple of extra filters. I suggest having those. And order yourself a spare air filter too. So you have your air filter, your nice new clean one. So if you ever need it, you have it right then and there. So you can have an air filter, oil filter, and then 2 spark plugs. So here's my spark plugs. So you can order these right from Generac, so you have the right ones to fit your machine. They do it by the model number and the serial number. So you can give them a call and get your Generac spark plugs, air filter, oil filter, and even the oil. So now that we know that, something I like to check is the air filter. It's a little hard to get off. You got to play with it a little bit. So there it comes. All right, in here in the winter, what you're going to want to look for, and in the summer, is I look in here to see if this is clean. It had a little bit of oil. Now what could happen in the winter, do you see this little hole right here? From the condensation that builds up in the machine when it runs in the winter, when it's really cold, you could end up with ice in here, moisture that turns to ice, and it blocks this. And what you're going to have is you'll find the dipstick blown out like that because it vented and it blew oil all over your machine and it shut it down due to low oil. So if you ever have that happen to you, what it is you have a little moisture here that froze. So it's a good idea to check it a couple times in the winter. After you run it, check your air filter. It looks pretty good, you know. I'm going to put a new one in September, but I have a new one right there if I need it. So I got my air filter. I'm ready to go. So I cleaned that, did this. Now I can kind of just take your time putting the tabs on. I'll show you. There's two tabs here, and they fit into these. So that's what you got to fit in here. There we go. She's secure. Now I secure it back down. So that's what you want to check. You know there's a storm coming. Check your oil, check your air filter, and we're going to open up this side and check the battery. Now to do that, check your gun first. Make sure it's on the right extrusion. And a third one right here. If she wants to come out today. Okay.
Oh.
And you set that down carefully just like that. And now we can see our battery and our light. But here's our battery. So you can see I just cleaned the terminals and they're nice and clean. And they're ready to go. And you make sure that they're tight. Make sure that they're tight. You always take off the negative first. And then you put the positive back on, then the negative back on. So the negative is the first to leave and the last to get back on. Now back here, boys and girls, this is stuff you don't want to be touching or messing with. Some of that could be live 220, these wires in here. So that's for authorized Carnival personnel only. So that's what we do. Now, I want to, as long as I have it open, I'm going to go ahead and wipe this out. I took out the battery the other day and wiped out underneath everything, but you can see it's fairly clean in here. But like I said, I had the leaf blower out yesterday and that made a little bit of a mess. So I got my little red battery guy here. So now you want to put this back on, and you notice you got the two little feet here that line up with the little holes right there. And she just goes back on, just like that. And then we can put these 3 bolts back in. And don't over tighten them, just barely tighten them up. Don't overdo it with that. So we've checked our battery, we've checked our air filter, we've checked our oil, we've wiped out my leaf blowing yesterday. But she's pretty clean. But see, my hands are in here, so you don't want the machine coming on. I have the oil warmer kit, as you can see. So I just wipe out the inside a little bit, clean her up. Now we're ready to put on our front cover. Put on our front cover. That's not right.
Wait, there's a spider. You have to rescue it.
What?
You have to move him out. You
Where?
can't hurt it.
Where is it?
It's right there.
I don't see it.
It's right there. Don't throw it at me.
All right. You want to check and make sure your cover's tight across the bottom. so that everything is good. So now we're ready to close the machine up, but we don't want to close it up in the red mode in the stop. So what you do is you go back to the green, ready to run, hours of protection. You can see she's lit up green.
Saved it.
And if we want, just for the heck of it today, we're going to start it. So we're going to go ahead and do a manual start. So that's it, boys and girls. To turn it off at this point, from that mode, we're going to go back to stop, to the red, and then go back to the green. So, and then when you close it up and lock it, you'll want to lock both sides so that the wind doesn't catch it. So never leave it unlocked, always leave it locked on both sides. So I hope you all learned something. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a safe one. We'll talk to you later. Ciao.